Smurfy greetings everyone, it is I, Hellgear, and today I would like to talk with all of you in this video about AtomiumSmurfette. But before I do, I would like to ask you one thing. In the comments section, please share your thoughts about the question that the AtomiumSmurfette presses and presents to everyone. And if you find any of this information in this video informative, please hit the like button. And before I get things underway, I would like to give a special reference citation shout out to my friend Alan Turnos, who took such beautiful and wonderful photos of AtomiumSmurfette. I will link to his Instagram page in the description below of this video. So give that man a follow. Well, he takes very good photos. So, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Many of us in the world don't live in Brussels, Belgium, and have probably even been to the Hazel Plateau. And you're wondering exactly what is the Atomium. This is the Atomium. It started out as a landmark posted in Brussels, Belgium in 1958. For the 1958 World's Expo. But after that expo has passed, it has remained as a landmark in Belgium that acts as a museum. Each of the spheres that you see represent a different floor of the Atomium. The structure is set up to take the shape of what a cell of an iron crystal would look like under 165 million times magnification. And that's pretty impressive. They haven't said whether or not the Atomium was made out of iron, but it's still a great thing. It holds the AtomiumSmurfette, which is an exhibit being housed in this very place. Tickets were on sale, and the exhibit began in March 8th of 2020. However, due to COVID-19, it had to temporarily close. If you purchased tickets for the exhibit and you were unable to attend, do not fear. The Atomium has said that they will honor all tickets to visit at a later date. The exhibit is set to run through the fall of this year. And for more information, check out the Atomium's website, which I will leave a link to in the description below. Now, Belgians know of the significance between the Smurfs and the Atomium, and I will talk momentarily about that. Now, the AtomiumSmurfette is not just an exhibit. It also talks about a particular goal, a principle, and it asks all of its exhibit goers a very pressing question. But let's get into more about that. In March of 2020, Smurf social media posted this, and they talked about how they were joining with the United Nations to spread awareness about gender equality. This post was met with mixed reviews. Many of these mixed reviews were either neutral negative or completely negative. And the main emphasis behind these negative reception is how the Smurfs have been a contradictory case when it comes to gender equality, especially since there's only one female in a village of 100 Smurfs and 99 males. Other bits of neutral negativity are about how this representation doesn't apply to transgendered individuals. To this date, there are no transgendered Smurfs. We may meet some transgendered Smurfs in the future, but for the purpose of this exhibit, AtomiumSmurfette is focusing on the male and female genders. The positive reviews are very welcoming and forthcoming, showing off their support and are looking forward to see just how the Smurfs want to make everyone aware of gender inequalities in the world. As you go through the exhibit, you'll come across this excerpt, which gives a succinct summary of what is going on. Also, it talks about the similarities between the Atomium and the Smurfs. The Atomium and the Smurfs have one thing in common. They were created in 1958, which is approximately 62 years ago. Well, not 62 years ago, but 62 years have they been around. As a totem of the 1958 World Fair, the Atomium is a symbol of faith for a better world. The Smurfs are a joyful people living in a peaceful village. Together, they're joining forces around the 17 United Nations Development Goals. Today, the Smurfs have taken over the Atomium. Smurfette, Smurf Girls, and Smurfs need your help to promote gender equality, the 5th goal. Want to learn more and help? Smurf to http://worldslargestlesson.globalgoals.org. There are many developmental goals that the Smurfs are hoping to promote, but for this exhibit, they want to go with number 5, which is gender equality. Now, as you go through the exhibit, you'll see some wonderful shots, and we'll get into Alan Ternos' wonderful photography here. And we'll start with this particular shot. When you look at this, what do you see? Some people see, when they see this cardboard cutout or possible cutout of Smurfette, as Smurfette trying to appear like she's mimicking the presence of Papa Smurf. Some think that it's Smurfette trying to smell her hair. And these various opinions go hand in hand with the Smurfette Principle, which is found and explained throughout this exhibit. I will get to that a bit later on. When I see this, I think it's Smurfette trying to cosplay Mustache Girl from A Hat in Time. And shout out to Imps for actually playing A Hat in Time and knowing who Mustache Girl is. Because really good representation here. This is one of the shots of the exhibit of artwork. This artwork is depicted in Smurfs The Lost Village. The newest movie, well, newest per se movie, involving our Ever Blue friends. Ever Blue was a phrase coined by Peyo's daughter, Veronique Culliford. I apologize if I said your name wrong. When she did a foreword in the artwork of Smurfs The Lost Village book. These shots come from The Lost Village. And if you've never seen this movie, it is available now on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. And it is a family-friendly movie. The cutouts of the two particular Smurfs that you see are two of the Smurfs that appear in the movie. The two shots on the right and in the middle are depictions of Smurf Village. The shot on the left is a depiction of the Forbidden Forest, a place where the movie also partakes in. Here's some fun things that you can do at the exhibit. Everybody knows these fun little cutouts where you can put your head through and do the wonderful little Smurf pictures in. Here's another one of them. Here's a different shot of those 3 photos from the Lost Village and the 2 Smurfs that you'll see in the movie. And what better way to remember your time at the AtomiumSmurfette than by going to the gift shop and see such wonderful products that you can get at the Atomium. Some of them are new products featuring Smurfette. Here's a shot of some wall art with her hopping to bounce the Atomium figurine. Here's some t-shirts with the boy Smurfs trying to hold up the Atomium figurine. Here's some of the Smurfette merchandise. I want to say those are cups. And as you can see, you got 2 shots. Smurfette with the bouncing to bounce up the Atomium figurine. And her sitting in a peaceful yoga pose. Got some nice stationery with Smurfette on it. And even some plush dolls. Gotta love this stuff. Now, as you go through the exhibit, you'll come across what is known as the Smurfette Principle, and I want to take this time to talk about that very thing. Here's another shot of the plushies. Gotta love the swag, don't you, folks? Gotta love that swag. I also want to take this time to talk about AtomiumSmurfette. Now, what they're doing on social media the Smurfs and the Atomium is they're hoping that people, they voice their opinions about the Smurfs and gender equality. And if you do on social media, use the hashtag AtomiumSmurfette. Now, let's get into the Smurfette Principle, folks. Now, to those of you who don't know, the main focus on the AtomiumSmurfette exhibit is this very principle. A principle that was coined by a journalist in New York. Katie, as her name is, thought of this not too long ago and even talked about this when she was interviewed about it. I'll zoom in on the various note, and if you cannot read it because it's of the blue font, I will read it aloud for you. Again, hashtag AtomiumSmurfette. Katie says, contemporary shows are often organized on what I call the Smurfette Principle. A group of male buddies will be accented by a lone female, stereotypically defined. The message is clear. Boys are individuals, girls types. Boys define the group, its story, and its code of values. One of the interesting points behind the Smurfette Principle is it talks about the devaluation of women, girls, and females in media, whether it be TV shows, animation, or movies. Let's go back to the first shot of the exhibit. Smurfette here with their hair under her nose. As I said, when talking about this, I gave two opinions. The first opinion was her seeming to mimic or stand like Papa Smurf. You could interpret that as what the ladies and females will see Smurfette doing in this shot. And then the other about her smelling her hair, a girly thing that males and boys and guys will think that Smurfette is doing here. In a sense, it is a devaluation of the female figure. And as you go through this exhibit, and more shots can be found on Alan Ternos' Instagram, they show off situations in modern and common today media of a lone female and a group of males being defined in an incorrect manner. One I can talk about off the top of my head is the Big Bang Theory. And to those of you who've seen the Big Bang Theory, you know about the four nerds, Leonard, Raj, Howard, and Sheldon. How they're all these nerdy scientific guys. And then across the hallway is their neighbor, Penny. Penny, a beautiful woman who isn't a genius, isn't smart at all, and is a waitress instead of a scientist. And how they belittle her in various instances, but also come to her for a bit of advice when the need arises. Another instance that the exhibit talks about is the Muppet Show and Miss Piggy. Now, a little bit of a fact check here. Miss Piggy, even though as outspoken and confident as she is not the only female in that group. There's one other female that's in the band. You'll know her by her closed eyes and blonde hair. She is the sole female in the band, however. Now, as we go through the Smurfette Principle, there is something that the exhibit asks all of us when it comes to this. And again, the Smurfs are making this exhibit so that everyone is aware of gender equality. So, they ask the exhibit goers this question. Tell me how you would Smurf to see a world where gender equality is the norm. Again, post your answers not only in the comment section below this video, if you please, but also on social media with the hashtag AtomiumSmurfette. Now, I have an answer to this question. And as I answer this question, I just want to slide through the exhibits again. And as I do, I want to address the board at IMPS. because, you know, imps are the guys in charge of all things Smurfy. As I look through this exhibit and I go through and remind myself of some of the negative reactions to your post about the Smurfs joining in to promote gender equality and the contradiction that they are, one thing I have noticed is the lack of recognition of the other female Smurfs. And this is something that, from the photos I'm showing here and the other photos in Alan Turnos' shot, we don't really get much of a recognition for the other female Smurfs. Sure, we may see them in the strips and the comic strips and all that, but we don't really have a chance to know who they are. We don't recognize them. They aren't identified by name like they normally would, except for maybe one of them, if not two. What we've learned in the Smurfs Lost Village movie, which you pull excerpts from, and the graphic novels, The Village Behind the Wall, and The Village of Female Smurfs, is there are more than just Smurfette. And even to this very day, as I go through many of my Smurf communities and ask what you think of the female Smurfs, the majority answer of this question is, what female Smurfs? There's only one female, and that's Smurfette. Now, there are those few who say, well, Smurfette is fine, but Sassette is a little girl, so we really can't count her as female per se, but she's still outspoken. And then there's Nanny Smurf, who's the old lady Smurf of our ever blue friends. Some people will even remember Vexy from the second live action Smurfs video. But for the most part, Vexy, Sassette, and even Nanny aren't really known by many people around the world in response to female Smurfs. And it reminds me of a campaign that was done back in 2017 when the Lost Village was getting some headway and ground, called #GirlsWearBlue, and the lack of success that it showed there, mainly because it focused on Smurfette and not of the other female Smurfs. And as we've learned in the Lost Village, there are a lot more female Smurfs than just Smurfette. And one of the things that I've been doing, and this is one of my ways of smurfing to see a world where gender equality is the norm, is you have to identify and recognize your female counterparts. And this is something that the Smurfs hopefully will do in the future. Yes, many fans around the world love our ever blue friends and can recognize many of the boys, but when it comes to the girls, Smurfette is the only one that they know of. And if the majority of the people who love our ever blue friends only recognize one of the female Smurfs and know nothing about the other female Smurfs, mainly because they haven't been identified for everyone in the Smurfdom's general public, this is bad. So, what I have been doing is, in my Smurfy communities, I've been reminding everyone of the other female Smurfs, or at least the ones that have been identified, and telling people, whether they didn't know at all or they just need a reminder of who they are from the movie, exactly who they are, who their faces are. And if we want to Smurf for the completion of the goal, gender equality, we have to know who the other female Smurfs are first and foremost. It's like the old saying, you can't win a battle abroad if you can't win it in your own backyard. No, that's not right. The saying is, don't expect to win a war abroad if you can't win the same battle in your own front yard. Meaning, if you're not going to be able to identify and even recognize who the other women in your life are close to home, how do you expect everyone to identify these same ladies on the other side of the world, or down the street, or down the block, or the next country over? So, at this time, I'm going to give everyone a little bit of a Smurfy female roll call. Now, whether you have seen the art book of the Lost Village, which says that the female village has 99 female Smurfs, which are all canon, or if you've read the junior graphic novels, which says the female village is 100 female Smurfs, there are many of them that have to be identified. But of the approximate 100, only 13 have been properly identified. And I am going to give you the roll call and show you as well who they are. And we'll start with the leader of the female village. This is Smurf Willow, aka Papa Smurf's equal, but she is not called Mama Smurf. The female Smurfs of the Lost Village have two interesting notes about them. Unlike how Papa Smurf defines the males by a dominant trait, the female Smurfs aren't identified by a dominant trait. They're encouraged to do as many things as possible to be able to define themselves. They aren't defined by a dominant trait. They can be defined by their own senses. They choose what they are and who they are defined by. Now, as her name inquires, many of the female Smurfs are named after fauna or elements of nature. Again, the nature aspect of willow is a weeping willow tree or a pussy willow plant. And if it is a pussy willow, that probably gives homage to the pussy willow pixies from the original cartoon. Again, the majority of the female Smurfs are named after nature, with 95% of them named after fauna, plants or flora, and the like. Moving on, this, in my personal opinion, is the cutest of the female Smurfs, Smurf Lily. Smurf Lily is our heroine. And a little fun fact, as you can see those little pegs, those little plated locks that she has, there are actually 6 of those locks that go around the sides and back of her head. Whether the flower in her hat is a regular lily or a tiger lily hasn't been said. Again, going off the name of nature and fauna. One of the more energetic of the female Smurfs, this is Smurf Blossom. When she's not bouncing around, bouncing off the walls and bouncing around being hyperactive or anything, she's actually very good with a spear and a close confidant friend who will never let you down and is very faithful to you as well. Now, contrary to the clover in her hat, this is Smurf Storm. Many people who know about the female Smurfs from the Lost Village are very partial to Smurf Storm. She's confident, she's strong, she's a warrior. She acts as one of the village's enforcers, if not the main one. And it's good to have another strong female figure in the village, besides Willow, of course. She even rides a dragonfly, and yes, she's very skilled with that bow and arrows. Next up is Smurf Melody. Smurf Melody is known for having a very wonderful voice. She sings and has also been known to use her voice as a means of defending herself in dangerous situations. Now, this is Smurf Jade. In the Lost Village, Smurf Jade only has one line where she introduces herself to Papa, It would have been nice to see her get a little bit more of a role in the movie, but based on this pose, it looks like she might be quite the dancer. Now, in the movie, Smurf Blossom introduces us to 6 female Smurfs. And at the time, those 6 female Smurfs are dressed up in their camouflage when they go out into the Forbidden Forest. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't skip over anyone. Okay, so this is the first of the 6 female Smurfs that Smurf Blossom introduces us to. This is Smurf Daisy. As you can tell, Smurf Daisy wears the green leaf collar, similar to how many of the female Smurfs in the village that wear the green leaf collar are the archers. I'm not sure how consistent she is with a spear like Smurf Blossom, but I'm guessing she knows how to handle a spear as well as she does her bow and arrows. This is Smurf Clover. What we found out about Smurf Clover in the first graphic novel, The Village Behind the Wall, is that she has a crush on Clumsy Smurf. I'm not sure how that'll play in with the liking of Clumsy that Smurfstorm has for him, but who's to say? This is another one of our Smurf girls rocking the leaf necklace, probably good with the bow as well. Her name is Smurf Holly. She does look pretty nice too with the short hair. I think her hair is a little bit better than Smurf Blossom's hair, and she's not as hyperactive as Smurf Blossom is as well. This one, whose hair covers her beautiful blue eyes, is named Smurf Meadow. You know, like an actual meadow, not metal. Meadow. I'm sure she has a great personality. We didn't get to see her speak much in the movie though, which is unfortunate. Now, this girl is named Smurf Petal, and Petal is the female Smurf whose hair I like the most. It reminded me so much of berries, and I thought that this was actually Smurf Holly when I saw her first. But no, Smurf Petal is actually very, very nice, and she loves Smurfberry pie. I'm sure you could probably get to know her a bit better over a round of Smurfberry pies between the two of you. This is Smurf Hazel. I do like Smurf Hazel. I think she's one of the Smurfs that can wield a staff. We didn't get to see too much about her, but hopefully in the future we'll get to know Smurf Hazel a little bit more. And last but not least is the beekeeper of the female village. Her name is Smurf Honey. And what I like about Smurf Honey is not only does she tend to the female village's bees, but also the beehives, which are not only very, very round, but large as well. Some of them are even taller than she is. And she can carry them from place to place without showing any signs of laboring, which denotes that she's probably very, very strong. Now, from what I've been told, there are other female Smurfs that are identified in Volume 3 of the graphic novel Smurfs The Village Behind the Wall, but it's not in English yet. It's only available in French. And if I ever do get that wonderful inclusion and find out who these other female Smurfs are, I will be sure to inform everyone in the community of who. That's all I'm going to say about the AtomiumSmurfette exhibit and everything else. I hope you guys have found all of this information enjoyable. Please show your support in the Smurfs' fight and awareness for gender equality. Smurf for a better world where gender equality is the norm. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, click the like button. Share this with all of your friends. And again, a special thanks to Alan Ternos for such wonderful pictures. But for now, I take my goose from the oven because I'm done. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. Bye-bye, everybody.